Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Icon Conversations. I am your host, Asa Leveaux. I am ecstatic, overjoyed, blissful about being in front of you today, whether that is between your ears or eyes, whatever that is. I am just really happy as hell that I am in front of you because it means just another day I get to, do what I do, which is bring iconic people who are within their industries, like being spheres of influence, being able to be admired for what they do. If you know anything about me, you know that I love the meanings of words. Why? Because words mean things. And so when you look up the definition of an icon, that's what that is. Someone who is widely admired in their particular field, in their particular sphere, and they having a level of dominance, they having a level of influence within that lane. And so that's what Icon Conversations is all about, me bringing to you individuals that I feel like you need to know about because they're in fact iconic. Now, if you're like, Asa, so what are you dope at? Because that's a real question. So what I am dope at is catapulting entrepreneurs towards their next million by providing business automations that are aligned with their brand. So that's what I do. I do that as a result of being the icon architect and the founder of House of Icons. I've been doing this work for a while now. And remember, if you are new, for those of you who have already been around, you know I'm about to say, for those new people, icon architects and House of Icons, that's one thing, right? But that's not important. The important thing is that when you see me, is that you don't call me Asa or Asa or Asia. Don't let the three little letters mess you up. It's just Asa. I promise. I really do. All right, so let's talk about what things that you may consider as you're thinking about, you know what, I would like to have an icon conversation. Well, here's what I know about you. You're likely entrepreneurial. You are likely reaching, if not have already reached, your first six figures in business. And by the way, kudos to you. I'm very happy that you've done that. And you're like, okay, so what in the world do I do with what I have that is literally in my hand that I'm probably not reaching my full potential with? Like truly, it's like having a toothbrush and you don't know that you should probably, scrape that tongue. Yeah, but it's already in your hand and it can do a lot of wonderful things, but you just don't know how to fully use it. Yeah. What could that help you? Maybe you want to reach your second six figures or your first seven. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to bring someone to you that can support you in that reality. So without further ado, please welcome Kasey Brown. Hello, Kasey.
Hey, how are you?
I am doing extremely well. So before we get into anything, I love being able to get to the root of who a person truly is. So the one way I found that out is I would love to know, when Kasey was 6 years old, what was Kasey's favorite toy?
Ooh, that's a great question. Favorite toy. So I don't know if this counts, but especially at that age, very introverted, very nerdy, just had a book at all times. So definitely like a Junie B. Jones. I would read like those series. It was this Amelia Bedelia series like that. Bedelia? So I'm so shocked that I was able to pull that out. So I don't know if that counts as a toy, but 6-year-old, definitely a Junie B. Jones, definitely an Amelia Bedelia, some sort of book I had with me.
Okay, so that's comforting. As I will say that as a 6-year-old, I only wanted two things. I wanted my Sherlock Holmes book.
Okay.
And my spirograph.
Okay.
If I had a Sherlock Holmes book and a spirograph, you would not see me Like you, as long as you fed me, you would never hear me.
That's good.
Yeah, ever. So now that we know that you are a reader, you may even be considered a blurred, possibly in some circles. So with that being said, how does that, well, first, please let us know, how do you describe what it is that you do in the world?
Yeah, so right now, my main focus is helping brands. And when I say brands, I mean product brands, so physical brands to personal brands, right? It's about helping brands slash entrepreneurs grow and scale on the internet through paid ads, through email, SMS. And now a lot of our focus has been through content. So a lot of work that we're doing in the content landscape. But those are kind of the main things I do. So we own a full service agency where we help brands again in those kind of key areas for scale.
Okay, so you're already letting me know something. I didn't know you did ads.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of people don't know that.
Do you want us to know that?
Yeah, I
Okay.
do. So I talk what people see me talking mostly about on a stage or a podcast or the internet is usually like content or like team building stuff. I'll talk about our team. But the reason why, especially from the content part, that I talk mostly about that is because I have this thesis now in the company that ad performance is solely based on content, solely based on creative, right? The graphic that you use, the video that you're using on the ad. And so when I try to simplify, okay, how can I get people running better ads? It's like, I need to help them make better content. And so that's really why I talk mostly about content, but it's still, I'm talking about it from the lens of how do I get these people to make better ads? And so it's a downstream impact that I'm trying to have with the things that I talk about, but that's really why I talk mostly about content online, because I want people to make better ads. I want people to make more money.
And thank you for desiring that for all of us. We appreciate that. So you had said something just now that caught my attention, and you said your company thesis. So I will say, for those that are co-creating this episode with us in the moment, one of the things that struck me, there were two things that struck me when I met Kasey in Atlanta area-ish. I will say that number one, even though people in the room, you could tell that people were feeling some kind of way about her, like they didn't know that they even had permission to enter her energy field. Like, it was definitely, they made that shit up themselves. She was not harboring any of that. She was not, like, she wasn't roped off. She didn't have security. Like, people felt some type of way. Like, they were like apprehensive to get into her sphere. And I was like, huh, okay, I like that part already. And then the second part was when she spoke and she started outlining like all the schooling she's had, the degrees, higher educational programs that she's been a part of. And as someone who values education, not just from a collegiate level, but education. When I say education, I'm talking about like a more of a, like Timbuktu first started, the Great Library of Alexandria, learning being democratized across nations, like that type of learning, not necessarily a collegiate thing. So with that being said, when you said company thesis, I'm like, okay, we got to have a Kasey moment, and she's gonna break down company thesis, because of course we understand core values, mission statement, value statement, but the company thesis, can you shed more light on that?
Yes. I love that you pulled that out, and I am actually making a note to talk more about this online, because there are some things, and I tell people this all the time, as people, we kind of just go, like, me saying company thesis now is just so normalized, and you kind of like bringing this question is actually making me think about it. But I have always built our company around theses. I think that, especially in what we do in marketing, it is helpful for the team, helpful for me as a leader, to always have to, one, be studying the market that we're playing in, and also just to have different predictions so that we are not positioning ourselves to be reactive, but more so proactive and helping our clients be on the front lines of that, right? A thesis, though, is just that, right? It's just assumption, a educated guess is probably how I was learned in school what a thesis was, but it's saying like, hey, what's the data looking like? And then let's make a guess on like where things are headed. And so right now, or for the past year, I would say, where am I in 2023 at the time of this? For the past 2 years, probably, my thesis has been all around content rules everything. It all starts with content is what we say internally. But when I'm talking about better emails, better SMS, better ads, more follow, if we talk about on the organic side, more followers and more, engagement on the organic side and growth on Instagram and YouTube, like all these things, it all starts with content. And so our thesis and the company is around that. And that setting a thesis then allows me as a leader to say, okay, where are our priorities going to be this year? And so over the past year, it has been our number one priority has been building out internal systems that actually help us go create content for clients. And so over the past year, we've invested a ton into team and learning content, studying it. I myself started building a brand. A lot of people think that I just love talking to the camera and stuff, but even my brand was started as a testing ground for that thesis. And so we went on TikTok and started building over there and built like 100 followers in a few months. And that was really just like, hey, this is working. Let's get more people doing this. And that's really what that company thesis is.
So I'm always looking for a framework when people speak. Just please know that about me. So it seems like one of Kasey's keys, I'll call it that. One of Kasey's keys is if you have a profitable thesis, that then allows you to have a prediction, which then allows you to have proactive positioning. Would that be accurate?
I love that. I love that. Yeah. And one thing, if you want to help build this in the framework, the one thing that I always focus on for our clients and myself, especially like at the end of the day, entrepreneur icons, we are just so creative, right? We're always getting ideas. We're always reading new books and going to conferences, more ideas and more different things that we could do. And so the one thing that I hold true that even is probably why I do these theses is the one thing. So I'm always asking myself, forcing our teams to say like, what's the one thing that we're focused on? Like, what's the one thing? And so I think that's even, we always go back to our thesis for the one thing, but that's part of that framework for me too.
Now, with you having the success, the story that you've had working with such brands such as Goldman Sachs, Stripe, Accenture, developing digital strategies for Fortune 500 companies, all of these different things. And sometimes I won't say that. I'll say this. It would not surprise me if somebody were to look at you and your team, because your team is hella dope, like hella dope. Like these people make you feel like, no, we got you. Like you need to understand, let us get you. And I love that. And somebody may look at you and your team and say, you know what, they're good. What else could they possibly be striving for at this point? And with that one thing that you had just expressed, what would you like to articulate that one thing now as far as the thing that you are striving for in this season of life?
Yeah, so I was actually just talking to a mentor about this just an hour ago about that. Like, what is that big goal? So I'm actually in the middle of kind of like quantifying that in a different way. But I will tell you that what it is right now, and it is a revenue goal. We have a revenue goal over the next 5 years. I'm happy to share that goal if I can actually think about the number.
Please say it.
I don't. So like I will find. I'm not scared to say this number, but it's definitely in the 8 to 9 figure range. I can find out the actual number for you. But the reason why it's even, so I was telling my mentor this, I was like, that revenue goal is so empty for me because it's not about the money. And even for our team, like none of us really know, like I will find the document where I shared it with the team. But the thing that we go back into, the revenue goal is only an indicator for the amount of businesses that we've helped, right? And the second thing that we talk about constantly is the school that we want to build. And so with this school, I really want to help like underprivileged, underserved communities and give them access to be like, hey, like there's so many other things that you can do outside of playing ball, rapping, or if you're smart, being a doctor, lawyer, engineer. Like there's so many other things that you can do. So the revenue goal is around how do I get 20 million is what I estimate for the school, but how do I get enough money where I don't have to get government grants? Like I don't have to go through anybody. We can just put money into building the school. So we have a big revenue goal, but that revenue goal is just for us to provide capital to build the school, which like everybody in the team is excited about. And then also that revenue goal is an indicator around, hey, we've helped 1,000 is what we say. We've helped 1,000 Black owned, LGBTQ owned businesses scale throughout these 5 years.
That's awesome. And thank you for sharing the goal and the goal behind the goal.
Yeah.
Because let me be very clear, I'm excited about both for you. I really, truly am. I love seeing when people outdream dreamers.
I like that.
I something changes in my molecular structure when those moments happen, because I'm not saying I'm surrounded by small-minded people, but I am definitely still a lot of times the person that dreams the biggest around me consistently. So people I'm consistently around. I go to my grandma's house consistently. That's what I mean. So yeah, that was really, I loved hearing that. And you talk about your school, which I love, because education really is key. And education means different things, which I said before. And the fact that you're so, what my granny would say, she learned it. So you're so educationally sound as well. Let's talk about this TikTok for a little bit. Let's talk about content on social media. One thing that comes up, and many people that I talk to around content, is them saying, well, Asa, I'm not smart enough. Yes, I do what I do, but like, I'm not smart enough to actually tell someone how I did me, or how I did it, or how I do anything. It definitely comes from a place of I'm not enough, which is a lot of times where it comes from. Have you ever had a client that was like that? That came like, I love what you do. I believe you can help me with morality and all of those things, but I don't think I'm smart enough. How do you do rebuttal or refute that thinking?
Yeah, I think so. To answer your question, yes, I feel like 90% of our clients are like that, right? And I'm talking about even 90% of our clients, maybe the smallest revenue client is at 7 figures, right? And so I'm saying to anybody listening, people that are doing 7, 8, 9 figures are also feeling this way, which is like, to us would be like laughable, right? But the thing is that I tell everybody, one, we all have this fear, and that's the biggest hurdle that we put up for like not creating content. The second thing that I tell people is like, I believe everybody has a zone of genius somewhere, whether that zone of genius is like actually what you do in your work, or it's like this hobby, like you really just enjoy crocheting and like you just know the ins and out about that thing. Whatever that is, I tell people to start there, right? When it comes to content, talk about the thing that you are really, really confident in, that you know, right? And that may, for most of us, for most entrepreneurs, that usually is aligned with like what we do, because like we love it so much, we started a business around it. Sometimes it's not actually like what we do, but I would start there, right? Because the biggest muscle that you have to build first when it comes to content is actually like doing it, right? Is actually recording. And so record yourself talking, like if you're just into basketball, like, and that fires you up, like record yourself talking about the game last night. Or if you're just really into Janet Jackson music, like record yourself like listening to her albums and giving reviews or giving updates, right? Step into that, build that muscle first, and then start layering in some of the other things in business or some of the other things that you do. The one thing that you're always an expert in though is yourself. Like, you know yourself better than anybody. And so even when it comes to content, like you don't need to go always create the content. You are the content, right? And so just record yourself doing you, like living your life, going to the grocery store, taking calls, taking meetings, record stuff about your day, right? And that type of content actually performs so much better than what you're actually just an expert in. And so we could get deeper into that, but that kind of like storytelling content, the content about you outperforms you talking about anything that you're an expert in any day. So start there.
So I like you talked about you are the content. And the reason why I say that is because it was only this weekend I came up with a show idea that I feel was actually going to make a difference, because it's going to make a difference for me. There are a couple of things that people may not know just looking at my headshot that I'm interested in. Queer shit, ratchet music or trap music, and business. So I'm now going to take car karaoke and the business podcast that I'm going to do. I'm morphing them. I told you earlier that this is House of Icons. This is our sales week. So starting next week, I already have 5 people lined up. So I picked them up. They picked 2 hood ratchet trap songs, like Nuck If You Buck, Stilettos, like all that kind of music. We experienced those 2 songs together in the car. And then afterwards, I get to ask them about their business. We get to ask each other questions like, have you ever thought about doing this? Like really, not just from a, let me find out for the masses, but let's find out about each other, because this type of music has pulled us together. So we share this commonality and do it for an hour like that. I
love that.
And so I'm actually calling it, because there's a term called Sophista Ratchet. So I'm calling it the Sophistapreneur.
I love that. That's super dope.
Yeah, so I have been listening to you for a while. Let me just be very clear. So that's something like, okay, she might approve of that.
Yeah, no, that's so aligned, right? Because if you look at like the things that we're interested in, we're not necessarily just interested in what people are experts in, right? Like their teaching or their whatever, like we're interested in them. Right. And then we might become interested in what they serve or what they teach or what they sell or what they do, right? We like reality TV show. And if you're not a reality TV show person, you probably like documentaries, or if you're not a documentary, like you like Shark Tank. Shark Tank is all about the people more than even the product, right? And so if you look at the things that like we actually like, it's people. And so I tell people all the time, the content shouldn't be about necessarily about what you sell, what you do. It should be about you. And then 20% of that content can be about what you sell, what you do, all these things. But the front end should be about you. Like that's what makes you different and stand out is you. So you're definitely an expert in that.
Yes. And one thing that definitely makes you different is the fact that you were able to get 100,000 followers in like 6 months or so.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely dumb. Like that's crazy. 100,000. And I would love to know what that feels like now for you. And after you tell us that, I would love to know, because there are people that are watching that you already made a comment about a lot of your clients, 7 figures, 8 figure, 9 figure clients. You're like, okay, now look, I'm trying to get to 6, or I just got to 6. Like, what am I going to do with Kasey? So what are some things that people can start implementing today that maybe they just haven't even considered?
Yeah. So I love that. I'll even say on the 100K point, to answer the first question, how does it feel? It feels like I really started that page just to test some things. And so everything I do, especially on socials, is usually a test for our clients. Now it has benefited me in a personal brand and things like that, but it started off as a company thesis. Okay. And now what do you do with a thesis? You start testing. And so I started just testing stuff and it worked. And so even that 100K, we gained probably like 70 of that 100 in 1 month. Just in a month. And this will go to the question that you asked around what should people do. We gained 70K in a month. That month was July of last year. So July 2022. And what we did in that month, and I say we, but it was really just myself. I posted 3 to 5 videos every day. So it just depended on like how that day looked, but every day, like I didn't care if it was like 11 o'clock at night, like I just finished meetings, like I had to post. And I just made that like, hey, for this month, I'm gonna post every day, 3 to 5 videos a day. And with that volume, we were just gaining followers, right? I ended up posting around like 120 videos that month. And out of that
120 videos in a month?
Absolutely. Out of that 120, probably like 10 or so went viral, right? Those 10 brought in 70,000 followers. Also, those videos, like I haven't really posted that much since July 2022. And still to this day, those videos from July still bring in at least 200, 300 followers every day. And I don't really post on TikTok that much anymore, right? And so to answer this question, if I'm like, hey, I'm at 0 right now, hey, I'm at 3 or 5 right now, I'm trying to get to 7 figures, like I'm only here. The only thing that I would be doing, and maybe like this is 90%. So let's say the biggest thing that I would be doing, 90% of my time would be on content, and it would be creating short form content. Because what can happen, one, it's free, right? I just pick up my iPhone, and all of this content I put out too is just straight from my iPhone. I edit it in the app. It was nothing fancy. But I would just be posting content every day. It's free to post, right? And what can happen, especially if you're posting at volume, let's say you post 100 videos, one of those videos is going to go viral that month. What happens if just one video goes viral? You get tons of followers, you can get tons of sales, right? So even that for us equated to like 6 figures in deals that month, right? But you will get sales, you will get followers, and it all just came for free, right? Now you have to put in some time, but that's what I'll be focused on. And please understand too, that people at 7 and 8 figures, I'm having conversations with them. The number one thing that they're focused on is content. Like the number one thing these people are focused on, 7, 8, 9 figures, is content, right? You can look at, even, I know we both know like Lamar Tyler. Lamar has set up a whole network, right?
Yes,
that's all
the
media
convoy
and content, right?
Yes, the convoy is real.
Like you have to like study like what these bigger players are doing. Like, okay, these people are focused on content, right? So even if I'm at 6 figures, like I have to double down and push out this content. Alex Hormozy, Gary Vee, any of these people.
That Alex Hormozy, he a beast.
Like, it's just content, right? Like they're pushing out tons and tons and tons of content. And so, especially if I'm at 0, I'm like, how can I like push out this content? And it just has to be like something you do. Just like you have to pay bills, just like you have to feed the kids, like you have to post your 3 videos today. And luck of the draw, you will get something that blows up.
Okay, so I got to ask you this. This is just from I desire to see you win, not like you not winning. But do you already have something like a content calendar for people, anything like that?
Yeah, so I actually do. We actually talked, we talked about this before, and I was like, no, I don't have anything to promote. And I don't have anything to promote. The reason why is like, I keep this little thing like secret. So I will tell this audience. But I actually have a small group of folks that we give them like the exact trends and exact stuff to post every week. The reason why I don't publicly talk about that, I know. The reason why I don't publicly talk about it is because a few reasons, but I will start talking more about it publicly here in like Q2. But we've had this thing for about a year. It's around like 50 of us in there, and my team just goes through, gives them everything to post for the week. The different trends, we do profile audits, I sit and review content. So we do a lot of that in the hub, and I talk about it on my I'm going to start talking about it more on my social media, so you guys can see me talk about it there. But that's kind of what we do. The thing that I'll say about the content calendar is the thing that I believe more so in is just thinking about topics that you really like to talk about, and then being able to talk about or post those contents every day. So I like to take the batch style. I'll batch some content. I currently batch once a month, but I take 2 days out of my month to batch the whole month out. But you could just take 3 or 4 hours and start batching content and then posting that every day. And I would start with like the things about you. The 3 topics that I like to talk about are health, wealth, and love. Or another way I've heard somebody say it is like your body, your bank, and your boo. Those kind of 3 topics. People love talking about those things, and so, or listening to those things, I should say. And so when I'm sitting down, coming up with content for the month, I think about, hey, what in my relationships can I talk about? Relationships can be friendships, mother-daughter, romantic, like love, right? What in my like wealth can I talk about? Can I talk about how I got my credit score up, or how the business is moving, or our 8-figure goals in the next 5 years. Like, what money things can I talk about? And then, well, health, what like health things can I talk about? Working out, like whatever I do, if I do things in the health realm, what can I talk about there?
Man, thank you for that, because that does add some things. You've said that, and I was in the room when you said it. You literally said body, bank, and boo. And that's literally my day. Like starting off at the gym, that's body, that's health content. The bank, what you do like from your 9 to 5 business or working for whatever. And then your boo, once you get home, they're there. If you have one, or you desire one, or you're remembering how trifling the last one was.
Exactly. That makes great content. Like, I saw some girl talking about how bad, like, every date she like recaps it, and she's a business owner, but she like recaps her dates, and it's just like super funny, super engaging content. But that content brings her so many leads, like through the dating stuff, because so many people watch that, and they start following her. Now they're in her ecosystem. They see like, oh, she's a business owner, and that dating content brings her a lot of leads.
So you don't recommend the call to actions when you're doing body, bank, and boo content?
I don't recommend call to actions for that. I do recommend call to actions for the other 20%. So imagine, right? Like, I see a funny video. It's a girl talking about a bad date she went on, and then at the end, she tries to sell me. Like, I might not even like click her page and follow it, right? It's just like, oh, that was funny. But if she doesn't sell me, she's just telling me a story, I might go click it. I might go try to find like another one of her videos because it was so funny. And on my search to find another one of those videos, I'll be like, oh, she does this stuff. Oh, she does like this. Oh, this is kind of interesting. Let me give her a follow, right? Oh, she has a free guide in her bio. Let me like check out her free guide on that thing, right? And now she's getting all these leads because that one piece of content felt so natural, felt so organic, like it wasn't too salesy, where I actually wanted to now give her my information.
Makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. So thank you for that. And as we begin to wrap up, I would love to know, as we begin to go, what are any predictions that you have now? It might be within the next few months, it might be within the next year, but do you have any that you'd like to share?
Yeah, so I love coming up with different predictions, though my number one focus is content, as I stated earlier. And so when I think about like, where is content headed, I think I say this to a lot of people. I think short form content is really good for width. And so pieces can go viral and you can hit millions of people, and, it's really good for width. Where I think a lot of people are missing is long form. And so long form is really what I think is for depth. And so some predictions that I have is that towards the end of this year, probably next year, a lot more people will be diving into more long form. They will still do a lot of short form, but I think they'll be paying more attention to long form YouTube videos or teaching and stuff like that. And then I think on the short form side, it's going to become a lot more storytelling. It's going to become a lot more personal. And so you can even see this with people like Alex Hormozy. Last year, he was a lot of teaching in his short form content. This year, he's talking a lot about his wife and dating. And it's a lot of more like, we're getting this personal side of him, right? Study what these players are doing, right? And so I think a lot of people are going to start catching up to that and going from just teaching on the short form content to sharing more about who they are and storytelling through short form content.
Agreed. Thank you for that. Thank you for the predictions. Thank you for the framework. Thank you for all the things that you have given us today.
Of course.
Besides, well, I'll let you say it. Where would you like people that have listened to this, co-created this episode with us, and like, I gotta find Kasey. Like, where is Kasey? Where can they find you?
Yeah, so randomly, I don't know. I love Facebook now. Myself 2 years ago would never think Facebook would be one of my main platforms, but I am on Facebook, and I think that'll be LinkedIn. It's just Kasey Brown, Kasey. On Facebook, I do a lot of stuff there, and then on Instagram, it's KASE, Case the Ace on Instagram, and on TikTok, it's @marketingcase, and we push out a lot of content there too.
Understood. And everyone, please know that those will be in the show notes. So just go there. Everything is available for you. And speaking of Facebook, I saw that Gary Vee a few weeks ago was letting people know, like, I know for everybody who's younger, like 30 and under, and you're talking noise about Facebook, but please understand, Facebook is where it's happening now. So you might want to spend a little time. And I will say that's my largest platform is Facebook. So I do see the numbers really good there.
Yeah.
So please come to Facebook.
Yeah.
But thank you, Kasey, for doing this. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, just thank you. It's just been dope.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Of course. So everyone, thank you for co-creating this.